Gentleness is never weakness, and those who carry it quietly are the ones entrusted with inheritance. Beyond measure, peace is not passive, and those who cultivate it are recognized as belonging to God's own breath. Hear this carefully now. If you turn away at this exact instant, something rare will pass without returning. What is unfolding is not accidental, and the fact that these words are reaching you confirms that a process already began before you arrived here. This encounter was not stumbled upon. You were guided intentionally to this point. What follows is weighted, and it does not tolerate delay. Chosen one, suspend whatever has your attention and listen completely. This is not chance. This is disruption by design. A boundary has been crossed, and once what is coming enters your awareness, nothing within you will remain untouched. The urgency tied to this moment is real, and it belongs to now, not to some distant later. What you are about to receive will press against your understanding and awaken something deeper than reasoning. Doubt may surface first. That is natural. Stay present. In moments, an inner shift will occur. Your breathing may change. Your vision may blur slightly, not merely from feeling, but because this message is aimed directly at you. Yes, you, the hidden weight you carried, the conflicts endured in silence, the prayers spoken under your breath when time felt like it was slipping through your hands. There is purpose behind why those prayers unfolded differently than you imagined. That explanation is coming, but not yet. A truth is preparing to rise with enough force to stir what has been sleeping inside you. This is not meant to soothe. It is meant to summon. What you have been waiting for is not far away or delayed indefinitely. It is advancing toward you quickly, and your inner being is being conditioned to receive it. Every prayer released with sincerity, every longing you held without words, none of it vanished. It was acknowledged. It was recorded. It was activated. The moment you believed was postponed has already entered motion. Even now, unseen currents are rearranging. What you asked for no longer belongs to the future. It is stepping into the present. It is written that answers arrive before the call is finished, that hearing happens while words are still forming. Yet there is alignment required, because what is arriving does not settle where faith is unstable. This is where many retreat. If trust is not rooted deeply enough, breakthrough can pass directly by without landing. This is not intimidation. It is compassion wrapped in warning. Moments like this do not linger indefinitely. If you hesitate when the invitation is extended, if you pause too long at the edge of what was promised, the opening can close while you are still weighing the cost. We are reminded not to harden our hearts when the voice is heard. There is a narrow opening now, and it is active. For those whose inner sight is awake, something irreversible begins. What is approaching will move beyond explanation. It will still you, not with uncertainty, but with recognition. Like the prophet who discovered divinity not in chaos, but in the quiet that followed. You will understand that power was always present in the stillness. A shift so profound it reorganizes how you see yourself, how you perceive time, how you understand what you were born to carry. Your presence here is intentional. Once this truth is revealed, withdrawal will no longer feel possible. Identity will rise. Purpose will insist on response. And when the next words arrive, you will realize why turning away was never truly available to you. Listen closely now. Everything is balanced on this instant, because this instant is alive. Heaven is not silent. Movement is happening beyond visible range. A convergence is forming, heavy with eternal significance. This is not a subtle suggestion. It is a call delivered with authority, and within that call your name was spoken. When it was released, focus shifted. Forces unseen turned in your direction because your life reached its appointed moment. The one who set the stars in place has drawn attention to you. What follows is not ordinary understanding, but revelation. For a long time, you questioned whether your steps mattered, whether the effort, the waiting, the unanswered stretches held any meaning. You felt unseen. You wondered if silence meant abandonment. Yet even the one who waited in confinement was remembered before being revealed in power. Now truth echoes where uncertainty once lived. You were never invisible. You were never dismissed. You were observed, marked, and held in awareness from the beginning. What is opening now confirms it. You have been shaped intentionally for this precise hour, and now time has caught up with preparation. Nothing was accidental. Not the tears shed in private, not the pressure that nearly fractured you, not the waiting that extended beyond what you believed you could survive. Every step aligned you. Every wound instructed you. You can sense it now. The atmosphere has shifted. This is not merely another page turning. This is the point everything was leaning toward. This is the moment when heaven acknowledges what was placed within you long ago. What was once ignored can no longer be denied. What is rising carries consequence beyond personal validation. Your elevation will confront those who underestimated you, those who left when the process grew difficult, those convinced you would remain hidden. What was meant to destroy you has completed its assignment. Preparation is finished. Revelation has begun. A truth has been restrained intentionally, protected until now. Not because you were forgotten, not because you failed, but because what was forming required strength you did not yet possess. For years you questioned the delay, wondering why access was restricted and answers unfolded slowly. Yet beneath the silence, something greater was assembling, untouched by distraction. What felt like waiting was shielding. What felt like refusal was precision. This unveiling was held back until your spirit could sustain it. You were never meant to move according to external clocks. The rejection, the isolation, the extended seasons of standing alone were not loss. It is written that what seems delayed will arrive exactly on time. Those pauses were deliberate. They were alignment. Something was being constructed beyond interference. You were being preserved, reshaped, expanded beyond who you once were. This was never discipline. It was development. And now the restraint is lifting. What minimized you will soon encounter what was forged in secrecy. The delay has completed its purpose. What emerges next will not be ignored. Pause here briefly. This moment is intentional. If something within you recognizes this truth, it is because revelation is active right now. Become fully present. Before continuing, respond with a simple act that carries spiritual agreement. Engage with this message, not as routine, but as declaration. Stay connected not merely to content, but to a stream designed to keep your spirit alert and aligned. Mark the moment publicly with a sign of awakening, a number that represents completion or divine order, and declare where you are from. Let it be a quiet covenant between you and God. I am awake. I'm receptive. I am ready. And to those who feel called to support this work through encouragement, prayer, or tangible means, understand this. You are not merely contributing. You are standing as a collaborator in purpose. Your alignment is intentional. It is consent. It is trust. The doors that closed were never evidence of defeat. They were protection from settling beneath your design. The waiting has concluded. The moment has arrived. There is a truth many resist because it requires confronting pain. When life seems to bury you, heaven is often planting you. The pressure you felt was not collapse. It was placement. There were nights when escape from the darkness felt impossible. Yet you were never abandoned beneath the surface. You were positioned intentionally. It was said that unless a seed enters the ground, it remains alone. But once it does, it multiplies. What you thought was ending was concealment before expansion. The season of struggle became the ground of your transformation. The pain, the loss, the breaking, all of it became the soil of what you are now rising to become. The fracture you endured was never pointless. None of it vanished into nothing. It was carving endurance that could never have been hurried. You assumed it was the end. In reality, it marked the threshold, and now the pressure begins to ease. You are not merely entering illumination. Overlooked. Those who underestimated you will now witness what pressure was producing all along. What rises carries a gravity that silences doubt. You are not returning unchanged. You are arriving altered, grounded, and unmistakably alert. When God releases a word, no force in existence can obstruct it. Not fear, not resistance, not the memories that once paralyzed you. There comes a moment when the declaration is issued, when heaven affirms that what has been spoken is irreversible. And in that instant, every restraint begins to fracture. Every falsehood that pressed against your identity, every invisible restraint that persuaded you to shrink, none of it can remain intact. What has been activated cannot be reversed. For too long, fear dictated your direction, murmuring that your desires were unreasonable, that your calling demanded more than you were allowed to hold. You permitted surrounding voices to define you by your missteps, by your limitations, by what they believed you could survive. But now, a higher authority rises above every smaller narrative. It is written that when purpose is set, no force can nullify it. Even your own moments of hesitation lack the power to erase what has been decreed. The weight of what you survived and the absence of those who left no longer carry relevance. Once timing is declared, delay loses its voice. You are stepping into a stretch of life where motion replaces stillness, where resistance gives way to momentum. What once attempted to halt you will now stand witness to your progression. This is acceleration. This is release. And nothing within this world can restrain what has already been spoken. For a long stretch of time, you felt unnoticed. What lived within you remained veiled. Your abilities subdued, your strength overlooked. You observed others advance while you remained concealed, wondering if your moment would ever arrive. But those concealed years were never wasted. They were preservation. You were separated, intentionally, within a sacred interval where pressure refined. You in quiet cultivated your awareness. That solitude was not dismissal. It was safeguarding. You were covered until the moment when your presence could no longer be ignored. While it appeared that nothing was unfolding, something was steadily forming within you. Depth was expanding. Perception was sharpening. Strength was accumulating beyond interference. What remained unseen was being reinforced. Now that covering is lifting. What was shaped in hidden places is prepared to be revealed. The same world that once overlooked you will soon be unable to look past you. What rises carries substance, clarity, and authority born from obscurity. Even those who doubted will recognize that this emergence was not abrupt. It was intentional, and what steps forward now will not retreat back into concealment. Remember the nights when rest would not come, when tears carried more meaning than language, when your inner, they were constructive. In the quiet moments where no witness observed your unraveling, something enduring was being formed. It is written that every tear is counted, that none of them disappear unnoticed. Each cry, each silent plea, each breath released in exhaustion was gathered with intention. Now those tears are shifting form. What once poured from anguish is rising as authority. The injuries you survived have granted you a voice weighted with truth. The sorrow that sought to mute you has become the channel through which transformation moves. What was intended to damage you has been repurposed for good. What tried to weaken you has been converted into strength. The same presence that saw you fracture in. Solitude is now releasing power through you openly. What you endured has become your authority to speak, to influence, to initiate movement beyond visibility. Pain has completed its assignment. What remains is truth reinforced with force, and that force cannot remain concealed any longer. Heaven is preparing to pull back the veil and bring concealed narratives into clarity. Words spoken about you in shadows, judgments formed in your absence. They are losing their ground. What approaches is not exposure meant to wound. It is revelation meant to restore. Truth is rising, and it does not align with distortion. It aligns with destiny. You were misinterpreted, inaccurately measured, and dismissed without cause. But the season where falsehood had room to circulate is closing. What was murmured will not withstand illumination. Heaven is now declaring your identity openly. Every false definition will collapse under the weight of truth. You will be recognized as you were always known above, not discarded, not deficient, but chosen, sustained, and entrusted with purpose. You recall the doors that closed without explanation, the moments when refusal arrived before you could respond. It felt as though life itself was rejecting you entirely. The visions you protected, the paths you believed were yours, seemed inaccessible. But there was something you were never told about those closures. They did not occur randomly. They closed with precision. What felt like rejection was restraint. You were being protected from entering prematurely, before what lived within you was fully formed. Those closures were not conclusions. They were pauses filled with intention, preparing space for entrances that would recognize you upon arrival. When they open, they will not question your worth. They will respond to it. Prepare yourself now, because the doors that once turned you away are beginning to move again. The places that denied you are remembering your name. When what you carry becomes undeniable, when the substance of your purpose is visible, the same environments that dismissed you will seek your presence. What opens next will not be empty. It will carry opportunity, recognition, and the quiet realization that they misjudged you. When you return, it will not be to reclaim what was lost, but to release what was formed within you during the waiting. You will step through those entrances transformed, grounded and equipped to shift the atmosphere around you. Something is already stirring beyond what the eyes can register. A movement long prepared is rising. What was assembled in silence is ready to stand in the open. The unseen is attentive now. The atmosphere has shifted, charged with expectancy. Momentum is surrounding you now because something deep within has been awakened. You have not been drifting without direction. You have been guided through a deliberate process, calibrated for this precise moment in time. Those appointed to observe have taken note of every hardship, every unseen triumph, every instance where you chose ascent instead of withdrawal. And now they acknowledge the strength you are stepping into. What once confined you is loosening its hold. As you move fully into the authority that has always belonged to you, reinforcement is rising from every direction. You are not moving forward in isolation. This is larger than personal growth. It is alignment, a moment where visible and invisible forces move in harmony. Those who watched over you quietly are no longer remaining behind the scenes. They are advancing alongside you. They recognize that the moment has arrived. This is the stride you were shaped to take. What once existed as fragments, as faint impressions of possibility, is beginning to assemble. The visions that rested silently within you are stirring with definition. The nights ahead will feel different because something fundamental has shifted. What unfolds next will not remain concealed. Your dreams are about to carry substance. What once felt symbolic or disjointed is preparing to communicate with accuracy. These are no longer wandering images. They are becoming signals for what lies ahead. Your nights will not be empty. You will be met there. It is written that in appointed times, spirit is poured out, visions are released, and dreams become carriers of direction. What comes to you will not leave you confused upon waking. It will arrive with clarity, orientation, and intent connected directly to who you are becoming. Like one whose future was revealed long before others could recognize it. What you are shown will not be accidental. You will feel its weight immediately. You will understand that this is guidance, not imagination. A way forward will begin to emerge where uncertainty once lived. You have already moved through the fire. You were pressured, overlooked, sidelined, and written off. Many believed the story had ended, that what disappeared would never return. But when God is involved, concealment is never final. What appeared to be an ending was a place of transformation. In the deepest shadows, something truer was being formed. What rises now will carry depth, resilience, and intention far beyond what anyone expected. They assumed the weight would silence you, but what was pressed into the ground became the place where something unyielding was shaped. Pressure did not destroy you. It refined you. What felt like burial became the foundation of elevation. Every trial turned into heat. Every conflict became force. And what emerges now carries a brilliance no one anticipated. You are not fractured. You are reconstituted, stronger, clearer, more precise than before. When you step forward, the same voices that questioned you will recognize what they failed to perceive. This is not a gentle breakthrough. It carries history. It carries endurance. It carries the imprint of survival. You endured struggles no one celebrated. You remained standing when retreat would have been easier. That perseverance has mass. And now momentum is shifting. What you are entering is not accidental favor. It is the outcome of every moment you chose persistence. Fire has completed its assignment. You are emerging refined, not reduced. Opposition may still appear, but it will not prevail. This is not another temporary cycle. This is the claiming of what was forged through sacrifice. Delay has exhausted itself. Resistance is losing ground. What blocked your progress is being dismantled. You are no longer bearing this alone. Support is aligning around you. What worked against you is retreating, because what has been formed within you cannot be reversed. There was a season when they laughed at what you carried. They mocked the vision they could not interpret. But what they dismissed was being shaped through fire, not to end you but to prepare you. Every trial carved resilience. Every hardship refined purpose. You were never being broken. You were being crowned. What was ridiculed will now be acknowledged. You are not who they assumed you were. You are who you were being prepared to become. And when you fully step into what is opening now, it will not only mark your victory, it will tell the story of everything you endured, everything you survived, and everything that was quietly shaping you all along. Nothing was squandered. Nothing went unnoticed. What remained hidden is now undeniable. And as you move forward, you carry evidence that abandonment was never your story. Preparation was what you have been waiting for is closer than it has ever been. Within the coming hours, something remarkable is advancing toward you. This is not wishful thinking or distant possibility. It is a moment being positioned. What has been aligning beyond your awareness is preparing to intersect your life directly. You may not yet see every detail, but the shift is already underway. What once appeared impossible, what felt permanently closed, what lingered just beyond reach is beginning to move. What has been aligning beyond your awareness is preparing to intersect your life directly. You may not yet see every detail, but the shift is already underway. What once appeared impossible, what felt permanently closed, what lingered just beyond reach is beginning to move. What developed quietly will not arrive quietly. This change will not unfold slowly. It will emerge suddenly with recognition. You will know the moment it occurs. Like chains falling away without resistance. You will recognize this as timing, not coincidence. What has been arranged cannot be mistaken for chance. Your faith carried you here, and now what you awaited is approaching in an unexpected form. Do not let the present moment deceive you. What is forming ahead outweighs what you see now. Remain attentive, remain receptive, because soon what confined you will release you completely. What bound you for years is losing its hold. Regret, memory, fear tied to what has passed will not loosen gradually. It will snap. In an instant, you have carried history long enough. A different declaration is now being spoken over your life. The transition has already begun. The restraints are dissolving now. The weight of old wounds, past missteps and losses no longer has authority. What once wrapped around your identity is being stripped away. This is not slow restoration. This is freedom. What restricted you is being removed with precision. This will not take time. It will happen suddenly. One moment the familiar pressure is present, and the next it is gone, broken, powerless. When release comes, it will not negotiate. It will collapse. And when it does, you will feel it instantly, lighter, clearer, awake, in a way you have never experienced. What you once were is receding. Something unburdened is rising. Shame no longer belongs. Fear no longer defines. You will see clearly that your future was never chained to your past. The walls that contained you are falling. The freedom you longed for is no longer distant. Step forward. You are standing at the threshold of a new season. Motion is already underway. What you are about to enter carries triumph, not struggle. The restraints are gone. What comes next is yours. Prepare yourself. You are about to encounter people, moments, and openings that will permanently redirect your path. What is approaching is intentional. Connections are being arranged with accuracy. Encounters released with timing that cannot be ignored. You asked for direction and now movement has answered. What unfolds next will not feel random. It will feel guided. a conversation that lingers, a meeting that shifts something within you, an opening that appears unexpectedly yet feels familiar. These moments will arrive precisely where and when they are needed. You will sense the guidance before you fully understand it. As these encounters unfold, confusion will dissolve into clarity. Vision will sharpen, not only of the path ahead but of who you are. Illumination will rise where uncertainty once lived. It is written that light is given step by step. What was dim will become visible. What felt scattered will align. Pieces that never seemed connected will suddenly reveal their pattern. What once appeared disjointed will make sense. These are not small moments. They are turning points. When you look back, you will recognize them as the places where everything shifted. For a long time, you carried potential quietly, strength unseen, purpose misunderstood. But what lay dormant is now activating. And what begins here will lead you directly into who you were always meant to be. What was concealed is coming into view, not to exalt you, but to reveal what was placed within you from the beginning. What was hidden is being unveiled at the correct moment, in the correct way. The fullness of what you carry is emerging, unmistakable. You felt overlooked, underestimated, passed by, yet you were not ignored. You were preserved, prepared quietly for this appointed time. What was forming within you required protection before exposure. Now the time has arrived. The insight, the capacity, the depth you carried without recognition is ready to step into the open. And those who see it will be surprised. This unveiling reaches beyond personal fulfillment. It points outward. What unfolds will testify to precision, patience, and power beyond human effort. As what was dormant rises, it will awaken purpose not only in you, but in others. You endured unseen battles. You carried weight no one else could measure. Seasons of isolation shaped you when it felt like you stood alone. Yet those struggles became the structure of your strength. Pressure surrounded you, but it did not destroy you. Every tear, every silent night, every moment you doubted your endurance, expanded your capacity. Pain refined you. Scars became evidence. What once wounded you is now propelling movement. You are no longer defined by what happened to you. You are defined by what emerged through it. The challenges that once delayed you will now drive you forward. You are not merely surviving. You are stepping into what was prepared. The storms did not end you. They trained you. And now another surge is approaching. Not to break you, but to release you. What comes next carries clarity, momentum, and blessing. The potential that waited patiently is awake and ready to move. This is not a storm sent to destroy. This is the force that carries your breakthrough. Change is advancing rapidly. Favor, opportunity, and momentum are arriving beyond what you could orchestrate. What resisted you is realigning. What pushed against you is now pushing you forward, guiding you into the next movement of your destiny.